Hi, very good morning to you. It's Jim from maverickstar Observatory. Yesterday I can understand, a little bit of frustration with a few people when somebody's saying, the cities are very toxic environments to live in, and it's probably not a good idea for you to be, in a city in a great time of crisis, whichever that crisis might be. Could be, that the climate has changed over that environment where that city is. It could be that particular city is vulnerable to earthquakes, or it could be in the path of a volcano which could erupt. But there is a multitude of reasons. But what I want to try and do is find something that makes you think to yourselves, there is something here, what Gene's saying, and he must be right. And what we're looking at here is Bill Gates' land holdings. He's a billionaire actually, and probably one of the most richest men in the world. And what we're looking at is just some of the purchases. There's a lot more than this now, because this must be a good, year old, this chart, but it shows you what he's doing with his money. He's buying one of the most stable assets on this planet, and that's land. And the reason why I say it's one of the most stable assets is because land is no longer being produced on this earth. Obviously, what's there is always only going to be what's there. Yesterday, I was looking at, first of all, I started the morning off looking at, a few documentaries on, the printing up of the fiat currency, what's been taking place in America. That's going to lead to some point a lot of inflation, and if America continues just like the rest of Europe and England, if we all continue printing up this money, what has happened in places like Brazil is going to very shortly happen here. And I saw a big stack of money, and it just barely paid for a very small toilet roll. And what the person that was showing us in this video, this stack of money for that toilet roll, he said you might as well have wiped your ass on the money, because there was more paper in the money than there was in the toilet roll. But what I want to try and help you understand is, you can see the amount of land that Bill Gates has purchased, and why has he done it? He's not just done it because he knows that there's a lot of printing up of money. He also knows that, if the cities are going to probably at some point become stagnant environments, then, land prices in rural areas is going to quadruple in price. And as soon as people get wind of, that they need to probably get out of the city, and everybody starts putting their prices up. I mean, everybody starts, trying to sell the house and, do a mass exodus out of one of these cities, that land value is going to go through the roof. So you can see he's edged his bets. This is one of the richest men in the world. If you think that he's not been informed by somebody, and that something has inspired him to purchase all this land, because this is no small effort. This is a big effort. You can see that there is hundreds of thousands of acres of land he's purchased. He knows something is coming. That's why he's done it. That's why he took, the decision to start using what he got in the bank and spending it on something that was probably more secure, because he didn't, let's face it, he didn't buy tons and tons of gold. He probably has got gold and silver and other commodities which he feels are secure, but what he's done is clearly in front of all of us is invested in over 100,000 acres of land in nearly half of the states in the United States. So maybe what he's doing might encourage you to make those decisions on what you need to do, because you have an opportunity right now to save yourself a lot of money. let's say I'm right on what I've been suggesting, that there is probably a very likelihood of, an imminent disaster, and it's going to affect cities globally. And you take the initiative now to sell up what you've got and try and purchase a little bit of rural area so that you can, just for the time being, maybe you've got the money to sell up and buy a little bit of land, and also, maybe invest in something which is going to secure your assets, what you've worked for all your life. I'm just, because this is just one scenario. What we're talking about here is just is not the northern hemisphere going back into a glacial period, because I showed you the data yesterday that that's going to happen anyhow, just a matter of time when we pass that thermocline. I've showed you that also in many videos, that our climate is being highly affected by the amount of inbound cosmic rays which are increasing as our Earth goes through a magnetic reversal. But let's just say you are in a position to leave the city now. Would you be better doing that now, or waiting till you start to see things appear on mainstream media that there are millions of people leaving cities and going back to the simpler way of life, even if it's for a time being, till the dust settles? Would you be in a better position if you did that? It's a simple question. And what I'm trying to say is, you've not got a lot to lose. I think inactions are going to cost you more than, making some decisions now. I can't give you any financial advice on this channel, because I don't want to be liable for that. Whatever decisions you make. I'm just showing you that one of the richest men in the world is buying up land at a rate which is pretty incredible. So he must have been informed, or he must know something is coming. He's not a stupid man, is he, Bill Gates? He knows what he's doing, and his actions for buying land are for a good reason. I'm just saying, here's another reason for maybe you to start thinking seriously about what I'm talking about. If you live on the west coast of the United States, there are more than just the magnetic pole reversal that you have to worry about, and massive earthquakes and the coming glacial period. These things are overdue. Everything, it seems across the range is overdue. We have 90 to nearly 100 years since the Second World War. That was not historically a long time ago. If you think that these things can't happen again, just take a quick look at what's happened in Ukraine in the last 18 months. That war could easily escalate. Look what happened in the last couple of weeks. Somebody flew a drone into St. Peter's Square and detonated a bomb over the Kremlin. That's pretty out there. That's like, when I saw that, I was just like completely shocked. How easy could things escalate? We've seen the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline. Fingers are pointing at the Biden administration for doing it, because he was there a few weeks before that happened, promising that something would happen to that pipeline. And then a couple of weeks later, it happened. Now, nobody has come forward to admitting who's done that. No one's took responsibility and said, we did it. But the average Joe is not capable of blowing up, 4 sections of the Nord Stream pipeline in the manner which it was blown up. And, I've seen videos which showed that there was an incentive for the Biden administration to do it, because they wanted to stop Germany buddying up with Russia, because it looked like that was going to happen. Not only that, is that the Biden administration could offer their gas to Europe, which is what they're doing now. But the problem is the amount, what you've got to look into these things, guys, because they're not conspiracies, they're facts. If you look into it, America, through trying to supply Europe now with liquid gas, is going to run out of their own reserves. But America, as I have come to find, is still one of the world's richest mineral reserves on this planet of crude oil. It could keep going and pumping oil, even if it shut its imports to Saudi Arabia and other countries like that. It could keep itself sustained with oil for hundreds of years to come, with the reserves that are under the United States. It is probably one of the richest country in oil reserves still to this day. But those resources are not being utilised. And that's because of a lot of other things that's going on. We live in a world where it's too easy to be corrupt if you're in the right position. And, what happens then is your ego's going to ask you that simple question. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I help myself to some lucrative contracts for, green production of energy? Why can't I use some of this government money to set up a company that produces wind turbines and solar fields? Why not? If it's available, why can't I do it? Why can't I get one of my friends or family relatives to do that? And then that way, the finger can't be pointed for me having, an added interest in trying to make myself rich. Well, you know the way that these things work. Guys, you're not stupid. But, what I find is that human beings don't react on something until, hundreds of other human beings have already acted. And it's like the 100 monkeys syndrome. You get enough monkeys to do something, then they'll all start behaving like that. If you're waiting till you see people selling up houses in cities and properties in cities before you begin to act, it will already been too late then, because you will already not get the true value for your property. We don't live in the same times as what we did only 10 years ago. So much has changed. Corruption, like I said, has got out of hand. Governments now think that they can just print up and create wealth. They can ignore the true reasons for why our climate is changing on this planet. It all comes down to the level of corruption. And what is it all about? It's about money. And, they are very short-minded people, because you can have all that money in the world, but if it is worthless, then you might as well set fire to it to keep yourself warm, because that will be the only it will be the only thing to do with that money. So, in short, Bill Gates, he obviously knows something. He's buying up as much rural land as what he can get his hands on. And he won't be the only one. If you look at all these others, they'll be doing the same thing. Which means that what is available for you right now to purchase, if you are in a position to do that, is also dwindling. And the opportunities to get yourselves a little bit of that is also dwindling. So, we can save, a lot of heartache on this channel if people listen. We can save, lives, and we can prevent, people being caught up in some major incidences where they, you know, their life is probably threatened, but their life's work is also threatened, and their loved ones is threatened. You know, I simply ask you to do a bit of research. Pay attention to what I've been showing, you know, for quite some time now. Because, you know, I've always explained this as a gauntlet. And each and every incident that we look at now, like the possibility of war, the possibility of global economic collapse, the changing climate, the returning back to a glacial period, are all things that are on the cards to happen at some point. And you've got to realise that your chances of avoiding all of these is pretty much impossible. So if you get it into your mindset that you are going to at some point hit them, at least if you've planned to hit them, it won't be as bad as experiencing it when you do. Simple as that. You know what? There's a link down there if you want to help support what we do on this channel. And obviously, you know, on the 17th and at the end of the month, we do a report of where the magnetic North Pole is for you guys. We keep you informed of, you know, those anomalies that are taking place on our Earth, which you should be concerned about if you want to stay ahead of the game. And we just say, you know what, chip in a few bucks. You help us and we can help you and lots of others, and we already have at this point in time. Guys, only other thing to say is the link is down there. You take care of your loved ones. Say what I usually do. Bye for now.